Hello and welcome to Steve's Backyard Bonsai. Today I am continuing to try and fit the road surface into the pot and to get the size marked out. So this template was pretty good. So I'm going to use that as a guide. I just happened to get something very big delivered. So I had a nice piece of cardboard to work with. The paper itself is the template. The plastic around the outside was excess material. All right, I'm going to try and mark the overall outside of this. On both sides, based on this template. And I'm going to take a very sharp needle and I'm going to pierce this all the way around so I get a good start at the actual radius that's going to go around this pot. And this should work very well. This is super sharp. I bought a bunch of these, I think, I don't know, 6 maybe. And I've given some away. I had to dull them for use in bonsai because they're so sharp. But this one I just took out of the package, so its sharpness is quite useful at the moment. But I use them for untangling very tangled root masses. Okay, that's halfway. I'm so glad I have this template. But I'm going to need something to strike the radius onto the tile backer. And this should come in very handy. There'll be 2 just like this. And then the third one, the bottom one, will be a little longer in this dimension so that the curb has something to sit on. And I like to build these things with permanence in mind. Because why not? Okay. All right, I've got a good line. I'm going to draw that out. All right, I'm going to try not to be in the way while I do this. Hopefully you can see the holes. So that should be pretty easy to trace. And I've got the absolute end. Okay. Okay, where'd the knife go? Oh. I'm going to cut it a little full, thinking that I'm going to have to fit it into the pot. Just making sure that the end is perfectly clear. There's some Amazon tape on the other side. I don't want it to mess up any dimensions. Actually, I'm not going to cut it full. I'm going to cut it right on the line. And I'll go through on the second pass, or third. I don't want to damage the picnic table any more than the squirrels have already damaged it. Can you believe squirrels? They'll bite right through plastic. The corners of this have been eaten away by squirrels. All right, I'll free that up and come back when it's ready and we'll fit it. Okay, it fits pretty good on this side. The other side is a little bit off. I'm going to have to add a little dimension right here when I scribe the line. This is going to be mounted, I said 3/4 of an inch, but maybe 1/2 inch here down to 3/4 on either end. And tilted in, because this is not only going to be a road surface, but it's going to also aid in watering, because there'll be a real storm drain here and a real storm drain here, meaning a way to channel water that might otherwise collect on this roadway. So it will help in all regards. So let me scribe this onto a piece of tile backer. There's going to have to be some fudging. That ought to do it. And let me get a saw out and I'll cut that out. You don't need to see me do that. I'm going to be using a reciprocating saw with an abrasive bit that cuts through this. I'm not going to try and break it. Okay. This fits nicely. I have another one to make that's just like this, and then one that's a little bit longer so that the curb has some land to sit on. All right, and that should be a nice solid. I'll laminate them together. I'll refine the edges. I'll figure out how to mount it so that water can run underneath it and so that water can run into the storm drains. Then this will be covered in black, probably Flex Seal or Flex Liquid, which is pretty good waterproofer. I'll treat the sides with epoxy. All right, let me make more cuts. All right, very dusty operation. I'm wearing a mask, but I was able to cut the roadway out. It fits pretty well, and the curb will be like this. And What I'd like to have happen is it be a little bit below the lip of the pot there. So it's a good thing these are straight. I'm going to leave the underside of this open for roots and for drainage. And I'm going to accomplish that with little sections of PVC pipe throughout to hold it steady. Those will be epoxied in place once I'm sure that they're arranged properly. And like I say, I want the curb to come down below the lip of the pot on both sides. So I got a lot to do, but that's it for today. Thanks for keeping me company in my backyard. I don't even know if you can see this. Can you see this? That'll be below. And coped out to match the side of the pot. Alright. These will be laminated together and waterproofed like crazy.